Okay, so starting up the stream, I just want to touch base with everybody. I have been to Horror Nights about 3 times so far. Um, I don't have any experience with other Horror Nights, but this one I've done all the different houses. I've seen the shows. I've gone through all the scare zones and everything, and I've kind of put together a ranking of all the houses. I can tell you which ones of the scare zones are my favorite, and kind of rank those too, and then give you kind of a survival guide or a game plan for if you're going to be visiting the parks during Halloween Horror Nights. The best ways for you to be able to see all the houses, or if you have multiple, or if you don't have enough time, which houses you should really focus on. At least in my opinion, which houses are the best, so that you can go in and have as much fun as you possibly can in whatever time you have. So first off, I would definitely recommend, if you can, get into the park early and get into one of the stay and scream areas. Okay, so in the park, if you have park admission, I think this is the screen I need here. If you have park admission, you can get into one of these stay and scream areas, which, let's make sure my cursor here works properly. Should have done this before. Okay, so one of the stay and scream areas, you have an area near the entrance of the park, near the Hello Kitty store, which is right about kind of this area. Okay. You have the Springfield area, which is over near the Simpsons ride and everything. There's an area kind of over in this section, in the Central Park section, that is also a stay and scream area, but that one seems to be for like people who are annual pass holders who have signed up for kind of a special event. Then you also have a stay and scream area back here in the New York area near the Finnegan's Bar, which is kind of in the corner of this building here. And you can go inside there, get a drink, and stay in air conditioning and be in the stay and scream area. But when they actually release people from this stay and scream area, they're going to be releasing them from the back side of this building, and they'll be able to run over and get to Stranger Things. Okay, so this Finnegan's stay and scream area is gonna be the busiest, but if you want to do Stranger Things, you probably want to get on the back side of this building about 45 minutes before they actually open up, because if you don't, you're going to have a lot of people who are just going to rush over to Stranger Things and get in line in front of you. So if you want to do Stranger Things and you don't want to spend a long time waiting on it, I definitely recommend getting into that Finnegan Stay and Scream area. So let me just delete that. Boom. All right. So let's see. Okay. So, oh, sorry about that. So let's go through kind of a general game plan that I would recommend. If you can get in early, fantastic. Okay, especially on the weekends. The weekends are always going to be crazy. Okay, so Stranger Things and Poltergeist are usually going to be the most difficult houses to get into, but on the weekends, pretty much everything in the middle of the night, like 9 or 10, will be an hour wait. It's just going to happen. So if you're going on the weekends and you don't have a lot of time, I would definitely recommend going ahead and shilling out the money to get that express pass, because if you don't, you're going to spend most of your night standing in lines. Even if you do get the express pass on the weekends, all it does is basically cut your wait time in half, because half the people there are going to be getting the express pass too. But it does get you through all of the houses, because there are several people who opening night were able to get all of the houses done just because they had the express pass, and it was one of the busiest opening nights of any Halloween Horror Nights. So if you're really pressed for time, it is definitely worth it. So key ones that you want to get done early or really late in the night, okay? Because you're going to have a lot less people early on, and you're going to have a lot less people really late at night after everybody's left. So Stranger Things will pretty much always have a long wait time on the weekends. I went on a Wednesday night and went kind of, I want to say, about 11 o'clock at night, and it had a 35-minute wait time. I think on real time, I probably waited about 30 minutes. Okay, but when I stayed in this Finnegan Stay and Scream area and went straight to Stranger Things, I was able to get that done in 20 minutes. So, but I had to be there early and wait a long time. Poltergeist, again, very popular house this year. Has a long wait time, but usually it's not going to be nearly as bad as Stranger Things. So those are the two really big ones. If you can get those done ahead of the huge rush of people, you'll have a little bit of time to be able to hit the other houses while there's not that many people just all in the park. Because right at the beginning of the night, everybody's going to come from the main entrance, and there's going to be a huge herd of people down here in the main entrance, and they're all just going to come marching up here and get into the Stranger Things queue for the most part. The vast majority of them are. So if you can get the other houses done while everybody's waiting in that line, you're going to be able to get them done with a lot less wait time. So, so my kind of ranking of the houses, like which ones do I think that you really should get done as soon as you possibly can, or which ones are definitely worth doing. So I'll probably start at the lower tier houses, like which ones I personally didn't like, or I and move towards my favorite house. So first off, I would say that Carnival Graveyard was my least favorite house this year. It was just kind of meh. I mean, there was a fantastic amount of detail put into the house. Okay, the house is looks amazing, but there wasn't any real scare to it. To me, I mean, it was just kind of okay. Well, I'm just walking through this house that looks like a rundown amusement park. It's cool, but it just felt very discombobulated. Probably my second least favorite house is, where's my cursor? There it is the Blumhouse house. Okay, now the Horrors of Blumhouse house is based on Happy Death Day and The First Purge. Okay, I have not seen either of those movies. I'm familiar with The Purge, and I'm familiar with the concept of Happy Death Day. It's kind of like Groundhog's Day with a horror movie vibe, where the girl's caught in Groundhog's Day. She keeps getting killed, and she keeps coming back. Okay? That was interesting in the house. But, I mean, the bad guy in that isn't really scary. And then when you go into the Purge stuff, I mean, it's just kind of people. And sure, it's creepy and all, but I didn't find it all that entertaining. Trick or Treat down here is, whoa, that's crazy. Let's not do that. Trick or Treat is my third one on the list here. I am not familiar with the movie, so that might have something to do with it. I can't really say that I was terribly afraid of a tiny little pumpkin dude. The house smelled nice, and obviously the sets and everything were fantastic. The production quality on all of these houses is absolutely fantastic. But as far as the content goes, I was not impressed with this one. Kind of hits the same beat all the time, and just this little guy coming out and scaring you is just, it's okay. Okay, so the next one on my list here is Dead Exposure, Patient Zero. Okay, I actually like this house, so we're getting to the point where houses are good. It just, this one is very headache inducing for me. All of these houses are extremely loud. You definitely want to have earplugs in, because all the people working have earplugs in. If you don't have earplugs in, everything's just painfully loud. It's to be more startling and more psychologically, you know, damaging to you to make it really loud. But Dead Exposure not only is really loud, it's a strobe light based house, so it gets you very disoriented, and I came out with a ringing headache the first time I did it, which is probably the only reason it's so far down on the list. Um, the next one on my list here is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Over here. So Halloween 4 is, I mean, it's Michael Myers. He kind of hits the same beat. He's just very stabby. Never been a huge fan of Michael Myers, but it's just like walking through an office building in a house and having Michael Myers there. It's like he just jumps out and boo, and it's okay. But yeah, I'd rather watch the movie than walk through that one. It's also very easy to just completely walk past that house and not even realize it's there. Especially since you get distracted by when you're walking towards this house from this direction and going that way, you get distracted by the Chucky scare zone here. And then if you're walking past it, you get distracted by the Chucky scare zone, and then there's like other things to look at past the house, and you completely can whiff it. You just completely walk past it. But yeah, Halloween 4 is just, it's okay. Its production quality is really good, but it didn't give me a headache. But it again was very loud. So next up is Seeds of Extinction. Okay, I was looking forward to this house the most because I am a fan of the game The Last of Us, and this one seemed like it was kind of like a plant zombie kind of thing from what I was reading, where plants have taken over the world. I really liked this house. The nice thing about it for me was, due to the fact that all the monsters are plants and the entire world is taken over with plants, you don't know exactly what stuff that you're looking at is going to jump out and scare you. So you could walk past a plant and, it's been sitting there while other people walk past it and it didn't jump out, but then, oh, sure enough, you get to it and it's a person that jumps out at you. Very much like that. It's a very sensory kind of house. There's a lot of vines and everything that hanging down on you, and a lot of water dripping on you. So I really do like that house. It is a very good house. Next one on my list, Scary Tales, Deadly Ever After. Okay, so this is kind of an anthology house where they have several different scenes from several different fairy tales. And so they have like the Wicked Witch of the West, and Hansel and Gretel, and Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and Humpty Dumpty. And all the scenes are very visceral. Like, for instance, one that they announced when they announced the house was Rapunzel. So in the Rapunzel scene, Rapunzel's hair is sentient and has ripped itself off of her head and is murdering people and stabbing them and sticking them to the walls. Very, very good house. This is definitely a house you want to be looking up a lot, because there's a lot you miss if you're not looking up, and due to the fact that when you look up, you're not seeing people jumping at you, you get a lot better scares when you take in the full house and you look up. All right. Next up, you don't have to go very far from Scary Tales to get to Poltergeist. Okay, so I recently rewatched Poltergeist, and the movie was not, it's not a super scary movie. You have the very end of the movie, you get kind of where everything starts to go crazy, and then the house like gets sucked into the light. This entire house is based on that scene. So I really liked it. I really did. So if you're familiar with the movie Poltergeist, I probably won't be spoiling it too much for you to say that uh, the house was built on ground that had like a graveyard. It was built on a graveyard, and when they dig a pool in the backyard, and it rains real hard, the bodies kind of start floating up. In Poltergeist, the haunted house, you actually enter the house walking into the pool, into these dead bodies just shooting all over the place. So you actually walk into the middle of that scene, and then the entire house is kind of that scene. And then you actually go into the light that you're not supposed to go into the light. You go into the light to get through this house. It is a very, very well made house. So big thumbs up for me. The next one on my list here, let's see, I have two left. I have Stranger Things and I have Slaughter Cinema. So the next one, the number 2 house for me this year, is Stranger Things. I definitely do like Stranger Things. I think Stranger Things is a fantastic show. When I was going through the house, I kind of had to do a triple take because the makeup and effects and everything, the characters they have in there look like the actors. They like spot on Winona Ryder kind of thing. So I kind of did a triple take there on the first night. I was like, couldn't tell, but Demogorgon looks fantastic. Everything about this house just absolutely looks fantastic. The only reason it's number 2 is because it kind of is a little bit more the same beat over and over and over again. There's no real surprises. It startled me a couple of times just because the Demogorgon jumps out at you in several spots, but I didn't get any like really good surprises and scares from it per se. Because, I mean, it's Stranger Things. If you're familiar with Stranger Things, they're giving you Stranger Things in the house. So, you kind of know what's coming. But that brings me to my favorite house of the year, which is definitely Slaughter Cinema. I think Slaughter Cinema is a fantastic haunted house. So, what Slaughter Cinema is kind of like, imagine going through a series of B movies, and each room of the house is a different B movie. So it starts off and you go through a drive-through or a drive-in, like the exterior of the house is a drive-in, and they have trailers for all these terrible movies projected onto a drive-in theater wall, like right in front of the house. Okay, and so you're watching these trailers as you're waiting in line, which is entertaining, makes the line really entertaining, and then when you get in, you get to kind of experience that movie. And the movies are fantastic. You have things like Beast Baby and Cannibal Amazons from Planet Hell and Barber Chop. There's just such funny B movie ideas in this house, and it very much surprised me a couple of times in that house, very, very much so. But I think the biggest downside for me for pretty much all of these houses is just how loud they are. They are very, very loud houses. So that's kind of my ranking of all the different houses this year. I also was able to watch the Academy of Villains Cyberpunk show. No, I was not a big fan of it. Probably about 6 or 7 minutes too long. They repeated the same beat, the same stuff over and over again. It's way too loud. Like I say, all these houses are very, very loud, but this was painfully loud, and I had earplugs in. So I would definitely recommend earplugs for this one, because if I hadn't had earplugs in, I would have gotten up and left. It was just painfully, brutally loud. Maybe they fixed that, because I watched it on the second night. But yeah, I have no desire to see it again. The slack rope work they did was absolutely fantastic. I really did dig that, but I mean, to have to sit through the rest of the show to be able to see that, it's just not for me. So next things I want to talk about here are the scare zones. Okay, so as far as the scare zones go, they're all really, really good, but you definitely want to see them at night. They are not nearly as creepy during the day for obvious reasons, but when you see them during the day, you do get a little bit more out of them. So especially in the Twisted Traditions section, which is down in this area over here, there is a lot of detail that you can't see very well at night. So if you go through there, be sure to look at the wagons and look at all the little intricate details and stuff, because some of that stuff there is just amazing. But if you go through there at night and you're paying attention to just what's moving, you're gonna miss it. So I would definitely check out Twisted Tradition during the day, if you can, and during the night. That one's really, really great. Probably my favorite scare zone this year. So the different scare zones they have the Revenge of Chucky, which is down here on the Hollywood Street. So you come in through the gates and you take a right and you go to Revenge of Chucky. What that is a whole bunch of really maniacal toys that have taken over Hollywood because they're releasing a revamped version of the Chucky doll. Okay, so, or the Good Guys doll or whatever it is. So Chucky is there. They have a puppet Chucky that insults people. You can go up and talk to Chucky, and it's just basically a stage show where Chucky kills people and just roasts people, which is fun. I have not been roasted. I kind of glaze past it. Not my favorite scare zone, but it is good. They have other toys there like ballerina and dolls and baby dolls and Care Bears and the barrel full of monkeys kind of toys and stuff like that. So they have a lot of childhood toys for me, just as evil versions of them walking around there, which is interesting. So probably my second least favorite scare zone is over here, the Harvest, which is between the Shrek 4D and the Minions Despicable Me ride. During the day, they might as well just not have anything there. At night, they have stilt walkers and everything, and those are really cool. But when you get into it, it's a lot of scarecrows, and a lot of people in ghillie suits that quack at you. I don't know why they quack at me, but they do, and they shake like a rattle at you, and they quack. Okay, I have no clue why I should be scared of those, but the stilt walkers are really cool there, and they look really fantastic at night. So next up, as far as scare zones go, I'm just going to kind of go around in a circle here, I guess. Vamp 85. Vamp 85, several years ago, they had Vamp 55, which was kind of poodle skirts vampires. Okay, and so now they've updated it, and it's the 80s. So everything here is kind of 80s themed. You have Chucky, you have Killer Clowns, you have Vamp 85. So basically, what's going on is it's New Year's Eve, 1984 into 1985, and vampires are running the New York ball drop. And as soon as that ball drops, they go on a murder spree, and they just start killing people. And the ball drops, they reset the scene every 25 minutes. They do a thriller dance, and the music is really great, and everything is really, really scary when you can actually see the vampires. The only problem is when it's really, really full, and there's a lot of just normal people there looking at the vampires, you can't tell where the vampires are. They just kind of blend in, and I struggle to pick out who's supposed to be scary here. And I mean, the show is really interesting, and the event of it is really cool. But as far as just kind of wandering through the scare zone, mm, it's it's hit or miss because you could walk through it and get a good scare. You could walk through it and like, I didn't see a single vampire or anybody who really stood out as super like vampire-y. Um, I don't know. It's okay. I mean, it's a really interesting theme. I just don't know that the costumes make people stand out hard enough for it to really feel like 1985 kind of vampires to me. So that's my thoughts on Vamp 85. Next up, I'm gonna go to Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So Killer Clowns from Outer Space is right here in front of Transformers, and with the new light show that they have in the lagoon in the evenings, just regularly, they are able to um, project different scenes from movies on these buildings in New York. Okay, so what they're doing here is they have the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, who, if you're familiar with the movie, they come down in this big circus tent spaceship, and so what they're doing here is they're actually projecting that big circus tent spaceship on the buildings, and it takes off every like 5-10 minutes or like 25 minutes. um, I've caught that a little bit. It's okay. But for the most part, walking through the scare zone itself, those costumes are fantastic. That scare zone is probably my favorite scare zone as far as the characters and like the just the theming and the feel of the scare zone. It's just a very unique scare zone. The characters look amazing, and they're honestly creepy. I don't particularly like clowns, but I like that scare zone quite a bit. Definitely worth checking out. Great pictures to be had in there too. And then all the way over to Twisted Tradition. So Twisted Tradition is basically pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns and like scarecrows and things just twisted. So a lot of the monsters over here have to do with jack-o'-lanterns. So like pumpkin gut monsters and pumpkin monsters. And yeah, I guess everything has a pumpkin in it. They either have pumpkin heads or their faces are just pumpkin guts. Like imagine when you're making a jack-o'-lantern, you just scoop out all the guts, and then that came to life and tried to kill you. That's kind of what some of this feels like. Kind of people being digested by pumpkins if you look really carefully. The detail over here is fantastic, and the fact that they put all the jack-o'-lanterns in the trees at night, it looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. So that the way it looks at night, and the fact that you can go through it during the day and pick out a lot of detail that you can't really see very well at night makes it my favorite scare zone. All right, so what's my survival guide? How do I get in and see all these houses in one night and go through all the scare zones? So let me go back over here. Okay, check and see if there's any questions so far. No questions yet. Okay, so if you can, you want to get in and get into the Finnegan Scare Zone or the Finnegan Stay and Scream area if you're only going to be there for like a weekend day. Okay, so best game plan here. Let's just kind of change my color up here so it stands out a little better. The best game plan I can give you is to get in early for the Stay and Scream and get in here to the air conditioning, and about a half hour before they let people into the rest of the park, get behind Finnegan's, okay, so that when they let you out, you'll be able to run directly over and get in the Stranger Things queue. Stranger Things is going to have the longest wait of any house, guaranteed. If you're not a big Stranger Things fan, probably Poltergeist would be the second best one to go to, because that one will also have a very long wait. Okay, On the weekends, if you're not there for Stay and Scream, you're going to see hour-long wait times on pretty much all the houses fairly quickly. So if you're able to get there for Stay and Scream, get one of those two houses done. All right. Check the other houses when you come out, and if you can get Scary Tales done, get it done. It's worth it. Carnival Graveyard you can skip if you don't have enough time. Carnival Graveyard seems to have usually a longer wait than Scary Tales, so I don't know why. But after you get done with your first house or two over in the New York area, okay, Halloween 4. If you can make it over to Halloween 4 while it's still daylight, okay, Halloween 4 is a great house to go through during the day because it's so bright inside. A big problem that I have with trying to go through the houses early, like while it's still light out, is I go into the house and my eyes haven't adjusted. Okay, so I go into the house and then I miss like the first room or two because my eyes haven't adjusted fully to be able to take in everything. So Halloween 4 is very bright on the inside, especially those first few rooms, and if your eyes haven't adjusted, you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to see everything, which is great. So definitely recommend Halloween 4 up next if you haven't, or if you're there during the day. It's definitely easy to do there. Okay? So after Halloween 4 in Stranger Things or Poltergeist, your best bet is to just head all the way over to the other side of the park, just right away. Okay, the exits for these houses are not set up in a way where they can be easily chained together. So probably the first one that I would hit after Halloween is I would go all the way to Bloomhouse if you want to get everything done. Okay, go through the Bloomhouse house. You'll come out and then you can hit Slaughter Cinema. And after Slaughter Cinema, you're actually going to come out the same exit that you would come out for Dead Exposure. And it comes out right next to the entrance to Dead Exposure. So just go into Dead Exposure next. Okay? After Dead Exposure, you come out. You go back over here. You go to Seeds of Extinction. Okay? When you go through Seeds of Extinction, again, you're going to come out the exact same exit that Trick or Treat's going to use. So you can just turn back around and go to Trick or Treat. Okay? So at that point, you have most of the houses done for the year. So it's definitely going to be the way to go. If you can get to, if you're not necessarily worried about seeing the Stranger Things house like right away or Halloween right away, there's several different Stay and Scream areas. So you have the Hello Kitty area, the Springfield area, and the Poltergeist area. I'm not sure if they have a Stay and Scream area in Diagon Alley this year. I haven't tried that. But if you can start at Bloomhouse and just work your way forward, the wait times are going to get longer as you go. But I mean, you'll be getting a lot of houses done because most people will hit the first house they see, or they'll have a specific house they want to go for. And you can get all of these done while there's a lot less of a wait there at the beginning of the day. So if you go through all of these houses, then the only ones you'll have left is either Poltergeist or Stranger Things, Carnival Graveyard, and Scary Tales. Scary Tales is definitely worth doing. Carnival Graveyard, it's worth doing if you want to see all of them. Yeah, it's not a bad house. It's just, It didn't surprise me. So after you get all of the houses on the right side of the screen done, heading over and just kind of pick and choose which ones are the ones you want to do, or wait until later in the night. Okay, so by the time you get through Bloomhouse, Slaughter Cinema, Dead Exposure, Seeds of Extinction, and Trick or Treat, it's going to be dark. It's going to be very dark. So what I would do at that point is a really good time to go through and check out all the scare zones. Okay, so go through here, go through the Twisted Tradition scare zone, which is absolutely fantastic. Just amazing scare zone. You probably want to go through it a couple of times if you're like me. Okay, If you come down through the when you're actually in the Twisted Traditions, you can look across the way and see the Killer Clowns from Outer Space spaceship take off a couple of times. It has a kind of a comedy element to it, which is kind of fun to watch. So after that scare zone, you have the options. You have two options. Okay, you can walk up past Transformers and go through the lagoon and go through the Killer Clowns scare zone. Okay, or just go straight through the Chucky scare zone and walk around, go to Stranger Things and up that way. You'll be able to hit two scare zones by going straight, and two scare zones by going around the Killer Clowns. Okay, so if you go through the Killer Clown scare zone, you come back around, you go through Vamp 85. Okay, so either way, you're going to hit two scare zones if you take the right path. But probably what I would prefer to do is I like going through the Killer Clowns scare zone as many times as I can, because it's just the most interesting one to me. So after Trick or Treat, I would definitely come over and do Scary Tales if you can. Poltergeist if you did Stranger Things first. But again, check those wait times, because the wait times around 10 o'clock are going to be really bad. If you can wait a little while longer until like 11, those wait times will come down just a little bit. Or if you have Express, you don't have anything to worry about. If you have multiple nights that you can come, like if you got the Frequent Fear Pass, doing five houses on a night is kind of perfect. It lets you enjoy yourself and lets you not really have to push as hard. If you can come on Wednesday or Thursday, the queues are going to have a lot less walking in them. On the weekends, what they do is they have a lot more queue set up for a lot more people to stand around and wait. But on Wednesdays, they cut off a large section of that walking. So instead of having to walk back and forth through an empty queue, you just kind of get to bypass it. So there's a big difference. It's the difference between walking 6 miles to get through all the houses or walking 8 miles to get through half of them. So huge difference for me. My feet were very not happy with me. If you only have one night and you do want to see the Academy of Villains show, see it once you get through like the Blumhouse house. Okay, so early in the day, while it's still kind of light out, give the sun some time to go down, so you'll be able to enjoy the scare zones a little bit more. But man, again, take earplugs. Bring earplugs to this event, definitely. So after you've hit Scary Tales, just kind of work your way down the row, and yeah, and you'll be able to hit everything on a weekday. So if you're on Wednesday or Thursday, you'll be able to hit everything if you follow this guide. On the weekends, it's really going to depend on the wait time on all these houses, because they can be very swingy. But anyway, that's basically my game plan for getting through all the houses for Halloween Horror Nights. I'm just going to check and see if I have any questions. What time do you recommend getting there? I'm going next Friday, and I know it doesn't start until like 6 or 6:30. Should I be there really early? If you have like a annual pass and you're able to get in, yes. If you do not have an annual pass, since it's on Wednesday, I went in through the gates after 6 p.m. and I was able to get all 10 houses done. On a Friday, it's going to be a lot busier, so I would definitely recommend getting there earlier. But if you only have a few houses that you really want to get done, you'll be able to get 5 houses done if you get there at like 6 on a Friday. And it also depends on the day, because sometimes those days they'll open until 1 a.m. or they're open until 2. If you are in line for a house and the park closes and it's 2, you can stay in that line, and if you're really hardcore about it, you can just kind of wait in those lines, and they'll stay open until 3. Everybody has to get scared. So I think I'm out of the frame. So, but it's definitely possible to get everything done. But if you're going on a Friday and you don't want to get there early, get the express and check at the little kiosks they have where they sell express. And after 10 p.m., a lot of the times the express passes will go on sale. So it's not ridiculously cheap, but it does save you some money to do that. All right. Does anybody else have any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching Parks in Your Pocket. Again, my name is Dave, and hopefully you found this helpful. If you have any other questions, I'm going to be checking the comments of this video, and I'll try and answer any questions that you have. I'll definitely make a follow-up video after I go a few more times and see if I can tweak the plan a little bit more. And then, yeah. So don't know if I'll have any other videos this weekend, but I'm going to try and get some other Halloween Horror Nights videos out next week. So be on the lookout for those. And, well, thank you for watching. Bye.